Access and inclusion in Muskegon, Michigan. Everyone benefits when we expand the number of customers, visitors, and supporters who access and use the city's public spaces. The Disability Justice League West Michigan is a coalition of disabled advocates and our allies. We use a social justice model. We believe the most marginalized community members have the power to lead the change we seek. Follow me less than 2 miles as I travel from the Nims neighborhood to the downtown farmers market. Let's look at access to public amenities, products, and services, and how many times the disabled are prevented from full participation. Families in the Nims neighborhood enjoy walking to and from restaurants, schools, playgrounds, and churches. An economically integrated area with residents of all ages. Driving around the neighborhood, observe many homes have added ramped access. Yet disabled residents lack access to sidewalks and safe travel around the neighborhood. Residents with disabilities are forced to travel in the roadway because they can't enter or exit a sidewalk without curb cuts. In the winter, snow plows block the curb cuts with piles of snow. A wheelchair in the road is at risk of being unseen and unexpected. Sidewalk barriers put disabled parents and children in danger of being hit. The next major intersection on Barkley is at Hackley. This area of residence and commerce should promote walking over driving. The choice for disabled residents should not be stay at home or risk life and limb. The Tourist Information Center and Heritage Landing should be easy and safe destinations. The city boasts many old buildings being rejuvenated and used for new purposes. Interesting historic facades may be worth preserving, but not at the cost of excluding disabled customers. The Heritage Museum in the center of this row of buildings was modified at some point to be accessible to all. Access is good for business. Community means a diverse group of people who have a shared interest. The disability community is made up of people of all races, all gender identities, religions, ages, and physical and mental differences, seen and unseen. We don't all use wheelchairs, but we all experience discrimination and exclusion. The ADA symbolizes and requires equality of opportunity. Separate is not equal. How many ways can we say it? The ADA and Michigan building codes require buildings, businesses to be made accessible when there is change of occupancy or renovations to areas of public use. Who decides if and when the access code applies? What benefit does the business gain by excluding 20% of the potential market? How does that make sense? Western Avenue between 5th and 4th Streets is an assortment of enforcement issues that demonstrate a city's practice of exclusion and discrimination in planning. The city uses the symbol of universal access to identify parking spaces that are not accessible. Image 1 shows that parking is on the street in front of the brewery, but if a person parks and gets out of their car with mobility equipment, they must walk in the road to get to a curb cut on the next corner. Image 2 shows that the curb cut at the corner has a difficult angle and is blocked by a patio fence. Image 3 shows the sidewalk is blocked by the accessible parking sign. The Tisch opened without completing accommodations for the disabled. They are preparing to build an accessible entrance. Does the city provide guidance on the benefits of equal access? Does the city include disabled customers in its development planning? At Clay and 4th, a curb cut leads to a classical grand entrance with steps, which is the public entrance to our county museum. If someone using a wheelchair wants to visit the museum, they will have to travel around the building to a locked ground level door and ring the bell to call staff to let them enter this taxpayer funded public program. Symbols of inequality need to be challenged. They are undemocratic and illegal. City planners and administrators created barriers to the U.S. Post Office. The goal of the ADA is to provide barrier-free path of travel, the shortest distance from the accessible parking to the accessible entrance, clear of steps, protrusions, ice, snow, etc. Is it aesthetically pleasing? Yes. Is it barrier-free? No. The new western streetscape and accessible parking spots were completed before the splash park was constructed. The distance was always going to be a problem, but maybe they didn't have to place the steps directly across from the disabled parking. In 2005, advocates worked with the city and the U.S. Post Office to put a curb cut here where the designated parking is located. A few years later, the city would fill in the access to improve the street sidewalk decor. How many times do they need to be told? The new farmers market, a $4 million project. If the planners had started with a goal of gathering and welcoming the community in all its variety for the purpose of communication and commerce, their plan might have prioritized the function before they built the form. A new style curbing crosses the sidewalks and surrounds the seller's stalls. The result is a dangerous slope without warning and creates a risk for shoppers. As people with limited vision, mobility problems, or fatigue travel, they interpret clues in the environment and anticipate standard construction to navigate the property or facility. The unknown and unexpected form causes anxiety and exclusion. Around the corner on Pine, there is an older building designed with stepped entrances for each unit. The Farmers Insurance Office has been modified for access, but two other businesses have steps at the door. Steps are the universal sign that the disabled are not welcome. Hackley Public Library, with its regal historic entrance, was committed to serving the public, disabled and non-disabled, without compromising the architectural principles of this Muskegon treasure. It can be done. Look where the curb cut is. We are asking the City of Muskegon to create opportunities for residents with disabilities, to guide the city's access responsibilities under the Americans with Disabilities Act, our civil rights legislation. Muskegon has great plans for commercial and residential development, but they must plan and build an accessible community for all. Access for all. It's the law.